And welcome into the Gabe Swartz Show here at KC25. It is KC Sports Night. I'm Jared Koller. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday with the AFC Championship Game back in Kansas City and its rightful home after a year away. The Chiefs haven't been away from the big title game, but it returns to Arrowhead with the Lamar Hunt Trophy on the line. So let's talk about it. That'll be the majority of today's show, ending with Will Howard winning the national championship as Ohio State wins the college football playoff. Former K-State quarterback named MVP. So that's the end of the show. But first, let's talk some NFL. Gabe, with this matchup, let's start on the offensive side of the ball, because do you agree that that's where this game will be won for the Chiefs, is on the offensive side?
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
I think that the game will be won by the Chiefs' third down defense.
Oh, okay, very specific. Well, let's go back to offense then, because I want you to tell the people.
No.
If that's your number one area to watch for, let's break it down. Hit us.
Well, I think that the crux of the Josh Allen MVP debate, and it still is a debate because I think that there's still question whether it'll go to him or Lamar Jackson. I know it would be kind of unprecedented for it to go to a guy who wasn't first-team All-Pro, but it's happened before, and if people want to take the exact definition of the word valuable, I think that there's a chance that some voters may lean toward the guy who did not get to play with Derrick Henry beside him all season long. And the crux of that argument is that Lamar Jackson had significantly more negative plays than Josh Allen. And thus, what I would argue is that you can bet on, or you can suspect that the Bills are going to get themselves into 2nd and 8s, 2nd and 7s, and then they're going to get themselves into 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 3s, and whether the Chiefs are able to keep the Bills out of 4th and 1s and 4th and 2s, and either create incompletions or create negative plays like the Ravens were able to at times in the second half throughout Sunday's AFC divisional game in Buffalo, where they got Josh Allen on a 3rd and 2 from the 2-yard line at the end of the game, and they were able to get a stop and force a field goal, and that gave their offense a chance to go down and tie the game. I think that that's going to be a critical part throughout this game, because what we've seen Sean McDermott actually kind of evolve into for the Bills this year is a guy who is a little more in tune with the 4th down aggressiveness that's been needed. We've seen it on the NFC side of the league, where Dan Quinn with the Commanders, and Dan Campbell with the Lions, they've been super aggressive with 4th downs, and they realize that especially if you are on the road in the playoffs, one of the things that you must do is be aggressive and take advantage of the possessions that you have. And thus, that's what I'm saying is I would just think that the Chiefs' defense and the Chiefs' success in this game, you're not going to be able to just 3 and out the Bills throughout the game, but you're going to have to be able to get them off the field and hold them on 3rd downs to field goals or keep them out of 4th and shorts. It's kind of a similar type of thing as what we've seen when the Chiefs played the Eagles in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and if they played the Eagles again this year, and assuming Jalen Hurts is okay and can still operate with the quarterback sneak that works 95% of the time, the Bills can do that with Josh Allen because he's that kind of guy. And so 3rd down defense is critical, and I would lean that way, because I think that against Josh Allen with what he's been this season is more of a question mark than whether Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes will figure out a way to exploit a defense that time and time again in January they found a way to exploit, that has holes on the back end and can be. So I would just say that I lean toward 3rd down defense mattering more than the
Obviously,
offense, because it's more of a question mark.
Yes.
It clearly is a combination of both.
Yeah, it's not one or the other. So, and I don't disagree with anything that you said. I think a lot of it makes sense. I think you had a handful of great points there. That's why it's the Gabe Swartz Show. That's strong. I think the only thing that I would add that I think is really important to emphasize on defense is forcing the turnover, because that's something that the Bills has kind of been a knock on Josh Allen earlier on in his career than of late, but this year he's done a good job taking care of the ball. But it's still something that I feel like against the Ravens, you saw Allen kind of fighting like they didn't unleash him, and they may need to unleash him against the Chiefs. Now, if he plays like he did in the 13-second game, okay, he's going to play really well. But other times in his career, he's turned the ball over, whether that's fumble or interception. And I think the Chiefs can win without forcing a turnover, but I think if the Chiefs do force a turnover or two, I think they will win. So I think that, to me, is almost on the same line as – because that increases your margin of error so much to where, you can give up a few third downs or fourth downs, but if you get a key turnover at any point in the game, I think that'll go a long way. And so I think that – will be in this Chiefs defense is one that didn't force any turnovers at all, really, until like week 15. Then they forced 1 million. Some of that was due to the opponent they were playing, but I think I'd put that on the same level of third down defense and then in all of that, it's getting after the pass rusher, and then not only getting after Josh Allen, bringing him down, right? That's where pressure is not as valuable against Josh Allen as it is a lot of quarterbacks. You got to bring him down. It's limiting James Cook to limit the big gain, not getting beat deep by a handful of wide receivers that anyone could beat you. There's not like a go-to number one guy, in my opinion, and not having dumb defensive penalties, personal foul calls, pass interference down the field. Like, it all goes together that I think the two things for me, 1A and 1B, are third down defense, getting them off the field, and turnovers. And the caveat, though, I'd say with third down defense is also don't have it be second and short either. Obviously, that's kind of implied, but like if it's second and short, doesn't really matter what they do in that play because then it's third and short and then they can just convert it there. So I think starting, it's the type of game where every single play is important because if they get 5 yards in any play, it makes it a lot tougher for them to stop.
Yeah, and that's why I would just lean toward the third down defense mattering more than turnovers, just off of the not mattering more, but being more of a factor in the sense that it's something that's more controllable. And neither of these teams, it's not in either of these teams' DNA to really turn the ball over much this season. And that's why I would argue modern NFL, it's like kicking a field goal is considered a stop defensively. Getting forcing a punt is obviously optimal. Those are better or more reliable outcomes than assuming that Josh Allen's going to turn into the guy that he was in 2020.
I think you can play defense in a way that creates that because if you're getting after the quarterback, that increases odds of a turnover, both fumble and interception. And if you're, playing sound secondary ball, that increases turnover. And if you're stopping the run, that also, because there's not that many running back, yes, James Cook could fumble, but the more likely turnovers are for Josh Allen fumble, Josh Allen interception. And so I think if they can stop the run, that increases the likelihood of turnover. If they can get after the quarterback. And so that's where, for me, that's where it starts. And I think, obviously, for you as well. Get after the quarterback, contain, don't let up long runs, don't let up big plays. And then I think eventually, just because of how football works, something has to happen. Now, maybe it wouldn't because they've been really good this year, and that 13-second game is a great example of how, he played nearly perfect. He did have a fumble that he recovered. But, I agree there's less controllable, but I think you can put it in a position where it's likely to happen.
Certainly.
But the same goes with the offense, Gabe, because I think, for me, the number one key on offense, going back up to the top, is don't turn the ball over. The Chiefs have gone turnover-free for 8 straight games, as we talked about yesterday. And it's in this game where you don't know how many possessions you're going to get, you don't know how this game is going to go, where your margin for error, where you look back, that 13-second game, they had no margin for error,
Mm-hmm.
Other game, the 2021 AFC Championship game, they did. When you don't know that, I think you want to almost take that punt, rather than try to force something, especially in the first half for me.
Well, I even think of the first time that these two teams met in the regular season, in a similar situation on a 2nd and 3.
On the first drive
where Patrick Mahomes steps up and he's getting grabbed and he throws it. That's just not a ball that he's thrown over the last course of this season.
Yeah.
And
especially in the first quarter, because that sets the tone.
Playing at home. I just don't think that those are the kinds of – well, I just think that there's more of a you feel the need to force the issue more on the road.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the kind of thing that Josh Allen could do on the road.
That's where I go back to it's nice having the playoff experience. However, Josh Allen does have playoff experience, and has played well. So I don't think he'll necessarily feel the pressure in the first 3 quarters. I think he could in the fourth. I think there's that possibility. I'm not saying it will happen because, again, he proved in the 13-second game not to. But I think it's more likely that Allen would feel the pressure in the fourth than Mahomes. But that I'm not as much worried about Mahomes making the mistake as I am other guys fumbling, pulling a Mark Andrews like we saw, fumbling. I think that's what worries me most. We saw McCole Hardman in this game last year have that fumble at the goal line. That was killer.
He's the only 2 fumbles in Chiefs-Bills playoff recent memory.
Yeah.
Because he had a fumble on the
AFC
punt return in the AFC Championship.
Exactly, and that's where I don't know if this offense is built to, like that 2021 AFC Championship game, they went and scored 38 points halfway through the fourth quarter. I don't know if this Chiefs offense will do that. I think they could because this Bills defense isn't that good. But for me, I think the formula, Gabe, this year has been the Chiefs week in and week out make fewer mistakes than the other team. Obviously, that's the case just generically, but I think to an exaggerated degree this year. In a lot of those close games, in a lot of the fourth quarters, the other team most of the time does something dumb in the fourth quarter and the Chiefs don't. And it's simple, but I think it comes down to that. And what's the biggest mistake you can make? Turnover. So for me, that's where it starts on the Chiefs offense.
Yeah. I think that there's a really good chance that Xavier Worthy plays a critical role in this game just because he had a really solid game against the Bills the first time around. Could have had a bigger game off of missing the connection between him and Mahomes on that one deep ball.
Yeah, because remember, Travis Kelce didn't have hardly anything at Buffalo that time. They took him away.
Yeah.
And that was pre-DeAndre Hopkins, or that was like his second or third game?
It was his...
No, he did play. He didn't do
played.
much.
He didn't do very much. It would have been his 3rd or 4th game. Because it was week.
Yeah, that's right.
It was week 10 or 11. So that's. I just lean toward Worthy mattering. We saw what Denver did the first drive of the game where they threw it deep. We saw what Baltimore did throughout Sunday's game where they were able to get plenty of time for Lamar Jackson to do things, and he was able to find guys who worked open. That would be a good sign for the backyard football of Travis Kelce making an appearance. But I really do think that for as much of a great story as it is and as cool as it is and as incredible as it is that Damar Hamlin has made it back to the point that he's at and that he's done all this, he is, like, from a legitimate football evaluation standpoint, he is one of the weak spots of the Bills defense. And I think that between the fact that we saw Taron Johnson go down and hurt his shoulder late in that fourth quarter of the Bills-Ravens game, the secondary is, and I don't expect Mahomes to just loft balls into Taylor Rapp's hands like Lamar Jackson did.
I don't know if you can expect that many deep balls, period.
It's just those back three on the Bills secondary are the guys to attack.
Bills Mafia, come get this man criticizing Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin is a hero. All right, Damar Hamlin is a true success story. And Gabe has said that. He's trash.
I said all of those things.
You said he's trash.
I said he's the weak spot on this defense, which is objectively
if you remember,
a fact.
Damar Hamlin had a fake punt attempt in the playoff game last year, fourth down, and that did not go well.
Exactly.
That was a wild play call. I mean, that's where the Chiefs have the coaching advantage, I think, in this game as well, and that's nice. Yeah, I agree. I would put Xavier Worthy on a similar level as Hollywood Brown. Like, I think one of them probably should have a big game in order for the Chiefs to win. Whether that's a deep ball to Hollywood Brown, which they almost should have had against the Texans.
Yeah.
Or if that's Xavier Worthy, I think like if you told me Xavier Worthy didn't have a big game but Hollywood Brown did, I'd be like, okay. Like, I think one of them. I wouldn't group DeAndre Hopkins in that just because it's a different skill set. But that's the nice thing about having Hollywood Brown back is it gives you a second option in that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be, and I don't have it on the list, but also special teams. Obviously, that was huge in the win over the Texans. It was big in the win last year against the Bills. It's been big in the postseason just in general. Harrison Butker being perfect. But keep in mind, Matt Araiza revenge game. Former Bills,
he was there briefly.
I know. But I think I've kind of forgotten that. Oh yeah, this is the biggest game he's ever played in. He can't be shanking it or having bad holds. And then kick returns. Nico Armijo, great returner. I have no faith that he's going to hold on the ball now because he's fumbled it a couple times now. So all those things go back to mistakes. Dave Tobe's units have just been exceptional in the postseason year after year, especially sometimes after struggling in the regular season. So I don't want to lose sight of special teams as well, right?
Yeah. I wonder if McCole Hardman will be back this week. He was limited every practice last week. I don't know what the status will be for that.
Although it'd be a pretty good story, just activate him for the Super Bowl, then he catches like 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Then, call him Mr. Super Bowl. All right, this matchup though, Gabe, it's unique because it's the 18th meeting in the last 17 years, which I know predates eras. Like that was, I think it started when Todd Haley was head coach, but like that's wild to me because they're not a divisional opponent, and it's not just like over the last 6 years. Like every year, these two teams freaking play. It seems, and how much of a factor do you think that is? Obviously, there's Chiefs Kingdom versus Bills Mafia, but just the familiarity with both these teams, with the quarterbacks, with the coaching staff, with the history, the bad blood. Like at this point, I think motivation. I think you could argue the Chiefs have more motivation. You could argue the Bills. Like I'll just call that a wash because it's the AFC Championship game. But how much weight do you put in to this rivalry? Because I consider it a rivalry.
Yeah, I think that I definitely think it's a rivalry. I think that it's pretty one-sided at this point based on the games that mean something. It doesn't mean that the Bills haven't been capable or couldn't have won any of these other games. As I said yesterday, and as I've believed since it happened, that 2021 AFC divisional game for the 2021 season, that would have been January 2022, is a game that the Bills easily could have won.
Sure.
And were easily capable of meeting to that level. I think that the difference between the two franchises in large part is the attention to detail. And I think that it's funny that for Andy Reid and his predecessor and his former assistant in Sean McDermott, a lot of the things that people used to say about Andy Reid, Bills fans say about Sean McDermott. And specifically, I'm speaking from the experience of being friends with a buddy of mine from college as a Bills fan, and he bemoans the fact that Sean McDermott is atrocious with his timeout usage. Example, 1,000 of that being using a timeout to save a 5-yard penalty to kick a 21-yard field goal instead of a 26-yard field goal on Sunday night.
Not the worst field goal decision
not the worst,
we've seen in the last 3 years.
No, but a pretty important timeout usage that could have mattered for them in that situation. And that's something that happens all the time. So I think that there's interesting parallels between McDermott and Reid. I'm not saying that McDermott is not nearly the defensive genius that Reid is offensively.
No, but he's not the dunce either,
Exactly. So there's all those kinds of things. But yes, I mean, we've come to be so familiar with the Bills as Chiefs fans that, I think that there are plenty of Chiefs fans who aren't super locked into everything Bills, and I think most Chiefs fans could tell you who several of the key contributors on the Bills are down the roster, because we've seen them twice in 4 of the last 5 years. Like the Chiefs have 4 touchdown game. The Chiefs have played the Bills 9 times in the last 5 years, and the Bills have played teams in their division like the Dolphins and the Patriots 11 times in the last 5 years. So they are basically seeing them as often as anything else. I think that the familiarity is there. And Andy Reid's had the upper hand most of the time, and I just think that that's the way that I typically lean. And I think that there's such an important part of having Mahomes and Reid together the whole time, whereas you've had different coordinators with Josh Allen, and
different targets.
I think if you're a Chiefs fan,
other than his Dalton Knox or Dalton Kincaid and
Dawson Knox,
thank you.
Both DKs.
Yeah, that's right. Have they been there since 2021 or the 2020 season?
Kincaid was a rookie last year, so no, but Knox has been.
He's only Kincaid's
Kincaid's in his second year out of Utah. Yeah.
That feels great to me.
Yep.
Maybe because I grouped Knox and Kincaid as one.
Yeah,
as one player.
As one guy.
They got two of them now.
Yeah.
Okay. Compare that to Mahomes and Reed or Mahomes and Kelsey, and there's no comparison. I don't know.
But I also weirdly don't have animosity toward them.
Well, that makes one of us here.
Well, that's a different. I'm.
Do I? And I don't blame Bills fans for not liking me. That's fine. I don't like them. I didn't trash Damar Hamlin like Gabe just did right here. So, no, I'm just kidding. I think the Bengals aspect is weird because they're the one non-Tom Brady team that has beaten in the playoffs, so I get why some people look at that. But for me, it's the Bills and the Josh Allen, which are the team that's closest to the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and that on the journey to a three-peat, on the road to another Super Bowl, narrative-wise, if you crafted the best story, the Chiefs would go through the Bills, in my opinion. And I think it'd be a really satisfying victory. But on the flip side, what would be the most heartbreaking loss? Man, losing to the Bills would be tough. I know they're really good, but it's just given their success in the regular season, in their history, that it makes for a really, really great matchup. And listen, every loss, I don't know if one stings more than the other, because I cared nothing about the Bengals when the Bengals beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead, and that was one of the most heartbreaking losses that I've ever been a part. Well, I wasn't a part of, but that I ever felt as a Chiefs fan. If the Chiefs lost to the Commanders in the Super Bowl, that'd be heartbreaking. I feel nothing about the Commanders right now.
I think that I don't know. I think that it's different in terms of. Not to say that it wouldn't be heartbreaking, but it would almost, to me, just
more understandable.
Rationalizing things. Yeah, it would be very understandable if they lose. It would still, and that's where I keep getting to.
It'd be the least embarrassing of all the options.
Yes, and they've gotten further than anyone who's ever tried to three-peat has.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to lay the base for expecting the Chiefs to lose
that's
or
all
anything.
True, but Gabe,
to me, this is the Super Bowl. I think both of these teams are better than the Eagles, and both of these teams are better than the Commanders.
I agree, but I think there's still a world in which the Chiefs could win this game and then lose in the Super Bowl. That world exists. I wouldn't bet on it, but
I certainly wouldn't bet on Jalen Hurts.
I don't think Jalen Hurts played well in his one Super Bowl. I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it, but I don't think it's if the Chiefs win this game, they're absolutely winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Listen, I agree. I think their chances skyrocket.
Yeah.
But I don't. Maybe I'm not as confident as you are. Yeah. I'll end on that. Just that I think it wouldn't be an embarrassing loss, but narrative wise, out of the 13-second game, everybody talked about how great Josh Allen was. He didn't deserve to lose. He didn't get a chance at the ball at the end, and Josh Allen was the better quarterback in that game, which is blatantly false. It's just categorically false. Patrick Mahomes was the better quarterback, and in part because Josh Allen did make one mistake. He fumbled the ball, and he recovered it, but Patrick Mahomes really had nothing at that level. And so that's where I think if the Bills go on to win a Super Bowl here, obviously Mahomes still has the advantage rings and stuff, but I think it's a lot different conversation. And I'd like to keep that gap. So either way, it should be a fun game Sunday. We're going to be covering it here on KC5 all week long. But let's get some college football playoff talk in because, boy, Ohio State, after losing to Michigan earlier in the year, go on a magical college football playoff run to win the national championship, beating Notre Dame Monday night in a game where it looked like they were going to blow them out. Made it a little interesting at the end. Up a score in the fourth quarter, facing a third down that could have given Notre Dame the ball back and a chance to drive for the game-tying score. What does Will Howard do? He throws a dime of a deep ball to Jeremiah Smith to clinch the national championship for Ohio State. And Will Howard goes on to win Offensive Most Valuable Player. Will Howard, of course, the all-time leading passer touchdown-wise in Kansas State history. So, Gabe, before we get into the game, Will Howard, where do you you're not a Kansas State fan. I'm not I like Kansas State, but I did not grow up a Wildcat fan. Where do you stand on how this ties in locally?
I think that as somebody who has seen a player go from the school that you root for / attend be ushered out of the program respectfully.
Jaden Daniels?
That was not so respectfully.
I'm kidding.
But yes, but with Remy Martin going from Arizona State to KU,
that was a low blow. I didn't know.
that's fine. That's fine. And seeing someone else optimize their skills in a better environment. I don't think that you necessarily, aside from jokingly claiming it as a national title of your own.
I don't think any K-State fans are doing that.
Well, I think
Really?
some people are.
Oh,
Some people very fringes, but
Okay.
I think in general, feeling happy for the guy and feeling like what K-State still did the right thing, in the sense
That's
that
where I go.
I think that Avery Johnson, if you want him to be at his best in 2025, you needed him to start in 2024.
Right.
And
he would have left.
optimizing the whole window. Yeah, he wouldn't have. Guys don't stick around to sit
Right.
around for 2 years
It's
unless
not like they could have
somehow
both.
they're like Arch Manning, somehow stuck around for 2 years
Right.
behind Quinn Ewers. But I think that everybody was for the better in this situation.
There was no path in which they could have had both. So they had to choose between Will Howard and Avery Johnson. That's where it's like so many of the national narrative, and even friends that I have that didn't really follow K-State that closely, they're like, I was rooting for Will Howard because K-State pushed him out. I mean, I guess that's not wrong, but I don't think Kansas State made the wrong decision. I think most everybody would have done the same thing. Regardless of if you thought Will Howard was better than Avery Johnson, it's playing the math of 2 years versus 1. And did it backfire? Yeah, I think you make that argument because, man, Will Howard was really great. And could he have won a national championship this year at Kansas State? Probably not, but maybe he would have played a lot. Maybe he would have played at this level. You don't know. But I don't have a lot of criticism for Chris Kleiman because I think it was the right move at the time. In hindsight, we can look back and say, oh, man, good for Will Howard. They pushed him out and he proved him wrong. Yeah, they proved him wrong, but he proved everybody wrong. I don't think it was just Kansas State.
Well, I lean toward. I know that he won MVP. But he won MVP because he got the ball to guys like Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, but he's also really good. I mean,
he was solid. He was
great.
solid, but he was like the 8th to 10th best player on this Ohio State roster, and
on Monday night
this year.
Okay,
throughout the season.
Well, but the MVP, it's not an MVP for the season.
Yes, I know it's for the game. Yes, I'm not arguing that he shouldn't have won the MVP.
You think Will Howard is trash? How dare
you're just going to take me out of context. But I would just say that if he's back at K-State this year, if I'm just running through their schedule, the games that they lost, I still think that they lose. I don't think that he's fixing the BYU situation.
I think he wins Houston.
I don't think that in the rain, they didn't throw the ball because they couldn't throw the ball.
I know
in the rain.
Well, no, they did throw the ball and they turned it over. I think odds.
Yeah, but
he's not
some incredible.
No, I know, but
turnover
I think
avoidance guy.
True, but a veteran quarterback, I think the odds are higher that they win that game. But again, that still doesn't get them in the national, right? Because if they win that game, they're still not in the Big 12. Wait, would they be in the Big 12 title game if they?
At 10-2, I don't think so. Not off of.
Yeah, I don't.
They would have still lost the tiebreakers to ASU and Iowa State.
Yeah. So, agree. That's where I don't think Will Howard would have won the national championship with Kansas State. I don't
think that he would have made the playoff at K-State.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, thank you. That's yeah.
Because
Agreed. But I don't know how Kansas State fans feel. I don't know how Kansas State fans should.